So, here are three short stories about guys who are now divorcing their wives or dumping their fiancés after finding out not only they've been cheating on them, betraying them big time in that department, but an even worse betrayal, they find out that the kid they thought was theirs wasn't their kid, and their wife knew about it. And not only are they leaving their wives or fiancés, they're also packing up and saying, that kid is yours. And as you can imagine, the absolute wrath of Reddit there. But until you're in somebody else's shoes, you truly can't judge on the situation. And it is sad, especially for the kids or the babies, but these guys were robbed, and we all know it, and they're handling accordingly. Titled, Am I the A-hole for leaving my... The first story is, Am I the A-hole for leaving my fiancé and daughter when I discovered I wasn't her dad? And a shout out to Mr. Arkansas for sending this in. He says, me and my fiancé have been together for 4 years. We've known each other for 7 years, though, and have a nearly 3-year-old daughter. Okay, she's 2. We were talking about having another recently. I'm 41 and she's 34. I've always had thoughts that I didn't look like my daughter, but put it to the back of my mind that I don't look like my dad either. A little while ago, her family was visiting from abroad, and her sister was here. Now, she's never got on very well with her sister, and in time I've known her. She's hardly ever seen her. So I could see that she was anxious. They had a family gathering. It all seemed okay at first, but I could tell she was still tense. After a while, her sister was running her gob a bit, and she said basically, how could I raise another man's kid? Whoa! Now you see why she and the sister don't get along. They got into a big argument, and we left. But it was obvious on my mind, so I asked her about it. Basically, there is truth to what her sister said. In the early days when we were going out, she was on a night out with her colleagues and got really drunk and ended up in bed with one of the guys that she worked with, and woke up after they obviously had you know what. She said she must have been blacked out drunk because she didn't remember it. That's no excuse. But she then was pregnant not long afterwards and was so scared to tell me, she basically just tried to forget about it and pretend it never happened. It happened, honey. So obviously, she's telling him this now. I said, basically, I need a DNA test to see what I wanted to do, and she agreed. I'm actually shocked she agreed. Well, the results came back the other day. I'm not my daughter's dad. Oh, my God. This poor guy. Think about it. I mean, I have no idea to relate to this because I'm not a parent. But you find out your 2, almost 3-year-old child, boy or girl, doesn't matter, 8 years, and who you've loved, 100% definitely not her father. She wasn't back, so I packed a bag and effed off and have been at my mom's ever since. My fiance has been begging me to come back and saying we need to talk. Really? You're telling me what's what? I don't have anything to say to her. I'm not her dad. She's been saying my daughter's been asking for dada and crying. I said she should find her dada and ring him instead. Whoa! My mom's trying to get me to go home and talk. My dad's saying I'm being selfish, and I'm her dad, and DNA doesn't matter. Bullshit. I told him to stop being such a cuck. Whew. My mom didn't like that. Am I the a-hole for leaving? No, you're not the a-hole for leaving. I mean, certainly I can understand, anybody can understand you leaving. But the thing is, there's 2 victims in this story, and I say it all the time. The guy telling this, because guess what? He was robbed. She knowingly slept with another guy, kept it quiet, flipped a coin whose kid it was, and then finds out that the child isn't his, so what he's been gone through, and the kid. It's not the kid's fault, Now, some guys would say, you know what? Even though, technically speaking, biologically, this is not my child. I've loved this child for the last 2-3 years, or whatever length of time it was, and I'm not going to abandon it. That's a guy's choice. Well, that's okay. It's his choice. But there's other guys who say, no, I'm not doing it, and that's that. And yeah, you feel bad for the kid, but that guy has the right to make the choice because he was robbed. But that ain't a popular thing to say. So maybe in time he'll change his mind, cool off. Maybe he might help out the kid. I don't know. But this stuff happens. But remember who the true villain in the story is. It ain't him. It's the mom. And she was a cheater. And, and that's obviously why she doesn't get along with the sister. All right, next story. This is a little different. This guy says, titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my 14-year-old son I was not his biological father after my wife had an affair on me? This guy says, I'm 37, and I've been married to my wife, a 36-year-old, for 10 years. When I started dating her, she was a single MOM as her ex had fled the state after she got pregnant. Isn't this a typical story? Biological dad fled the state or off to prison or something. So, some white knight comes along. My wife never wanted to tell her son that I was not his biological father. She wanted to wait till he was an adult in his 20s, and we decided on that when we were married. Smack getting together with a single mom. And I don't know, I got mixed feelings on that issue. You know how much that's going to mess up a kid when he finds that out later in life? Well, I found out last week from one of my friends that my wife was having an affair. I confronted her about it, and she initially denied it, but after I told her I had physical proof, I lied. She admitted to it. I asked her how long, and she said a few months. So he gets together with a single MOM, being the white knight, whose guy abandoned her and left the freaking state. I'm surprised she didn't chase after him for child support. And here she is later on in time, who has a history of choosing bad men, is cheating on him after he adopted her kid and all that. This is the point, guys. Don't be a white knight. I then immediately went to my son. Now, obviously, this is not his biological son, but he adopted him, or you know what I mean. So he calls him his son. And I told him everything. I also told him I was not his biological father, that my wife has a tendency to go for these terrible men, and I made a mistake marrying her. Ouch. That's a lot to pour on this kid, especially at 14. Now, does this young man have the right to know? Yes. But this guy's doing this for selfish reasons. He's telling the kid to hurt the mom because the kid's going to be upset. That ain't cool. Don't use the kid to hurt the mom. My son was shocked and asked my wife if what I said was the truth. My wife said yes, and he came over and hugged me and was crying. And I told him that I will always consider him my son. Okay, well, that's great. He deserves to know the truth, and that's great to hear. You always consider him to be your son, but you used him to get even with the freaking wife. That ain't cool. I'm now looking for a divorce lawyer, and my son has completely ignored his mom over the past week. She's tried to communicate with him many times, but he has ignored her every time. To be honest, I think it will really help me in the custody arrangements during the divorce, as my son's preferences will be taken into account. Well, if he's 14, and depending on the state and the judge and the family court, a lot of times by 14, they can say who they want to live with. My son just wants nothing to do with his mom right now. However, I do sometimes feel a bit guilty about it, but I then remember that I'm the one who is the victim here. Am I the a-hole? Partially, you're the a-hole for using the kid to get even with her. Let's be honest here. But you've raised him 14 years as your own. That's certainly a hell of a nice thing to do. But look at the thanks you got from her. But you have every right to divorce her. And she deserves some of what she's getting. But the boy does deserve to know why you're divorcing. So I got no problem with him telling the truth why he's leaving her, because she's a big cheater. And I got no problem with him, obviously. The boy needs to know the truth about him. But the guy went about the wrong way. But anyhow, third story, titled, Am I the a-hole for starting the divorce process after finding out my daughter is not mine? Says that my life feels like a bad drama show at the moment. For some context here, me, a 33-year-old, and my wife, 30 years old, have been married for 7 years, and what I thought was our daughter, who's 3 years old, and looking back, this all started after my wife gave birth to our daughter, or her daughter. She suddenly became a lot more affectionate to me, was a lot more active with me in the bedroom. She also made my favorite desserts a lot more often. She's a fantastic baker. I, of course, didn't suspect anything since even prior to her pregnancy, there were no signs of cheating, but also possibly could be that she just didn't look close. I didn't look close into it. Well, this whole fiasco started 2 weeks ago after a day out with her daughter, and she just sat me down in the evening and came clean about the fact that her daughter wasn't mine, and her waterworks, of course, also started, and apparently it was a guy from the gym, and it lasted a month before he disappeared. He disappeared on her after finding out she was pregnant. Notice this common theme here. So all this time, she let this guy think this daughter of his is his, but it's some other dude that she met at the gym. These girls are scumbags. Honestly, even typing this right now, I feel like crying since I thought I did everything perfectly, but she still cheated. And yet the guys that don't do perfect things perfectly, they don't get cheated. Well, no, they'll get cheated on, but, it's a little different. As much as I wish I could say I had a stone face or something, I just started crying, and she tried to comfort me, but I just pushed her away. I felt so disgusted with her. Smack! Never let him see you cry. Although I can't blame him, but just keep it in. Do what you gotta do. Like, I gotta go to the bathroom. After I calmed down a bit, I just grabbed my jacket and left for a hotel. And while I was leaving, she just begged and pleaded for me to forgive her, and I was the only father her daughter knew. You fucked the whole thing up. But again, we have another innocent child suffering here because mom's an asshole. After crying myself to sleep in the hotel the next day, I turned my phone back on, and I'd seen that she had blown up my phone, and I didn't read any of it, and I just blocked her. After having a little bit of breakfast, contacted a lawyer to start the divorce process, and at work, I just asked for some time off, and my boss gave me the whole month off. Wow. By the evening, my mom and sister were calling me on her behalf. Now listen to this. And we're on her side, and that just hurt me even more. Well, one could say they're all hoes and supporting each other. One, I guarantee it's because of their own self-interest, because the child, mom has a granddaughter and all that. Any sympathy towards this guy? What about his dad? Oh, probably the parents are divorced because mom and sister are assholes. I don't know. I'm not proud to admit this. I did drink myself to sleep that night. Well, if there's any reason and any excuse to do that, that is it. That is it. After that night, I started staying with my best friends, and my mom and sister kept spamming me and calling me. Tell mom and sister that if you're not supporting me, fuck off. And they're doing that because they perceive him as weak. A few days later, after she probably got the divorce papers, my mom just sent me a long text to summarize that I should step up and forgive her and not abandon my daughter, and she would disown me if I went through the divorce. Okay, go ahead, disown me, because I don't want nothing to do with you either, Mom, because you basically have shown me that my cheating ex is more important than me. Fuck you. My sister and mom are against me divorcing her, but my best friend and his wife are saying I have a right to not want to be with her or take care of the kid. I'm split on this because on the one hand, I did raise the baby for 3 years. On the other, I don't know if I could, in the right mind, raise the remainder of my wife and her affair. He also says here, to put some context, my sister is infertile, so I think that's also part of why my mom doesn't want me to continue the divorce, since she will lose her grandchild, or quote-unquote grandchild. This guy has every right to do what he wants to do. Absolutely, 100% he should divorce this woman. But again, this guy's been wronged. The daughter's been wronged. But the big villain in this story is the wife. But who's getting all the blame and the hate here? The guy. Always the guy. The guy's just expected to just endure no matter what happens. And no, I don't think so. Now, maybe after a while when he cools off and calms down, then he might say, oh, we're still getting divorced, a-hole. But I've thought this child was my child all these years. I'm not going to abandon her because she's a good kid and is innocent here. And I'll maintain a relationship with her. And you fight me on this, good luck, you fucking Jezebel. Or he walks away. And that is his choice. It is his business. And nobody can tell him otherwise. And as for mom and sister, now we're getting somewhere here. Sister can't have kids. So this is the mom's. Here's the thing. He can still, let's just say he decided to have a relationship, continue being the dad to the 3-year-old. Okay, that can happen. Well, guess what? He doesn't have to be married to the harpy anymore, and the mom could still have the quote-unquote grandchild there, but still. But it tells me in the story that this guy probably has been a nice guy, white knight, his life, because you can tell the way the mom and sister are giving a hard time. They know that that's minimal consequences. Usually when people talk to you like that, it's because they perceive you as being nice and a pushover they can have their way. But this guy, Mom and sister are off the Christmas card list permanently going forward, in my opinion, and he should stick to people that have his back completely. That's what I think there. So anyhow, guys, 3 stories. These things happen. The cheating wives and all that. Again, the guy that told the 14-year-old deserved to know, but the guy used the 14-year-old to hurt the mom. I disagree with that. But anyhow, guys, this type of thing happened. But the one thing I agree with all these guys is get rid of the wives. And notice how, again, the people that are being painted as the victim, as the bad guy, the guy. It's ridiculous. So, there you go.